Hi, welcome to the big interview. I'm John Bussey with the Wall Street Journal. I'm joined today by Major General.Garrett Harencak. The Air Force at the moment is in the midst of a brand new bomber program, and I'd like to ask you about that. This is the long-range strike bomber, meant to replace some of our aging fleet. It's coming in at a price tag of roughly $550 million apiece. It's under development now. A lot of money's already been spent. About $8 billion has already been allocated to be spent over the next 5 years. Tell us why this bomber is needed. What is it about this bomber that is going to fill a gap presented by the B-2, which is not that old. It's only about 20 years old now.
Right. Well, but we have 20 B-2s, and that's it. The fact of the matter is that our entire Air Force inventory is that there's never been a time where we've had such an old number of airplanes. So we need the long-range strike bomber because of the essence of the United States Air Force. The reason, the enduring value of our great Air Force is it's our ability to hold at risk any target anywhere in the world, and in a matter of hours or days, and not weeks and months. And that ability is absolutely necessary for the defense of this nation. And so our bomber force is extremely old. The B-52, which is the largest number of bombers that we have currently, the youngest B-52 is a 1961 model.
Right.
We have B-1s that were built in the 80s.
Dr. Strangelove.
Right. I mean, we're talking there. So that means we have grandsons flying the airplanes that their grandfathers flew. Granddaughters also. So the fact of the matter is that we need in the mid-20s. We're going to need a capability that builds on the great legacy of our bombers force and what our airmen have done, so we could penetrate enemy air defenses and do the nation's work and hold at risk any target in the world. So the fact of the matter is that this weapon is needed simply because our bomber forces have aged, and we have not recapitalized them.
Right. So mid-20s, you mean mid-2020s, so just about 10 years off. What is it that this new long-range strike bomber is going to be able to do that the B-2 can't do? And why not save some money by making it a driverless car, since we're headed in that direction on the ground? Why is this could be a manned bomber 10 years out? Well,
we haven't really decided. It could be optionally manned. The fact of the matter is our drones that are incredibly valuable, and the United States Air Force is extremely committed to them. We do believe, though, that having a trained cranium in a cockpit does have immense value in battlefields today and in the future. However, this, you asked, is the long-range strike bomber going to be better than what we have now? And the answer is yes. The B-2 is still an amazingly effective airplane. So is the B-1, and through many upgrades, the B-52 is still effective. But as potential adversaries out there get better with defenses, we have to keep up, and we have to have the ability to penetrate. And for that reason, and to do what air power has always done, and that's protect America by being able to range any place on a target. So not just a bomber is what we're going to need, but we're also recapitalizing our tankers, and of course we need the F-35, which is a fifth-generation fighter. And while they will all be much better as far as capabilities and our ability to sustain them more efficiently, because we're not trying to keep a 50 or 60-year-old airplane supplied with parts. There's a lot of reasons. So they will, of course, have the capabilities necessary to actually penetrate potential enemies' air defenses and get the mission done and bring our airmen back home. Now, I might also add that when you look at the age of our fleet, the rest of the world is going toward is going to go to fifth-generation fighters. They're going to go to more advanced missile systems, and we just have to be able to counter that. But even if you could make the case, and I don't think you could, that we could somehow do that with our existing fleet, I ask a simple question: Are you going to send your children or your grandkids into combat in 80-year-old airplanes? And that's what you're doing.
The B2
is not, but the B2 is already, while it's our youngest bomber, is already 25 years old. The youngest one is.
Yeah.
So are we going to do that? Are we going to send our children and our grandchildren into combat in 80-year-old airplanes, being defended by 50-year-old fighters against adversaries that did recapitalize? So we have to make the investment now. So no one has to go to a national leader and say, "I'm very, very sorry, but we cannot neutralize
it's in the shop.
That threat
The plane's in the shop."
Right.
So the B2 was meant to answer some of these questions, and as it got built out, it became a not $550 million plane, which is the objective for this next plane. It became a $1.8 billion plane. That costs over 135,000 bucks an hour.
What's the big reason for that? The big reason was because we were supposed to build 150 of them, then 135. We ended up building 21 of them. So when people use that number, and I used to command the B-2 wing, and I say it is an expensive airplane. But here's what you get for it. What you get for it is no one ever, because we have just these 21, now we have 20 of them left, but because we have this capability, no one ever has to walk into the Oval Office and say, "Mr. President or Madam President, I'm so very sorry, we can't do it."
Yeah.
However, the cost that is also because we ended up building a micro fleet.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be amortized over a
absolutely. So it's a little bit unfair to say that, well, you Air Force, you built a $1.5 billion airplane. We did not. It was never going to be that much. $1.8 billion. So it would not have happened had we been allowed to build in the quantities we actually wanted to and needed to.
So at $550 million, how many would this constitute?
The buy is about 80 to 100.
Okay. A question on a slightly different topic. We just have a minute or so remaining. The START agreement with Russia to reduce our nuclear capability, and they would too reduce missile allocation to each country, was agreed upon. And we saw a disproportionate, at least in the numbers, a disproportionate number of subtubes closed, of bombers retired from nuclear capability. Something on the order of 29% of submarine tubes were sealed. Nuclear bombers reduced by 38%. Land launchers just 12%. The silos out in Montana and the Dakotas. Why is that? Aren't the bombers and the submarines more hideable, more difficult to detect than were our land-based?
First off, we in the military are very comfortable with the numbers for START. First off, and we're well on our way to the February 2018 to get down to those numbers of delivery vehicles and the weapons. But no, I would have to say I would not agree with that characterization that it was in any way unfair to any one aspect of the triad. The triad works best because, as it has, this administration, every administration for well over 5 decades has been committed to the triad because the triad is complementary. The triad gives us, across the entire spectrum of conflict, the best defense against all potential.
No one's arguing against the triad. The question is, where's the balance?
But so now, at the foundation of the triad, though, is the ICBM force, which provides the stability required. I call it the ante in this poker game. That if you want to come into this poker game, you're going to need quite the ante, because you're going to have to go all in to counter our ICBM force, which was essentially built and bought and paid for when we were in elementary school.
It's cheaper to maintain.
And
no question.
And it's there. So the complementary aspect of it is I don't think it's in fairness. You could really look at percentages and say, because actually the ICBMs complement the other two by providing that stability. It believed that the numbers we went down to, the missiles across 5 states, provide that stability that makes all the difference, that enables the other 2 legs to do what they need to do to complement and ultimately defend America against its only existential threat.
General Harencak, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.